How are you guys? You're awesome. Some people have written in saying, hey, I know that you're postponing some things and all that, but I would love to know how to get these photos out of Lightroom, right? I've seen it before. I just want to see it maybe one more time just to run through it. I figured, hey, if you need to see it again, let's make a video about it, right? So let's jump into Lightroom and maybe we can answer some questions that you might have. There it is. All right, so we're in Lightroom, and I've got my exposure project open. Remember, the exposure project that I used is a conglomeration of a few people's random photos that I happen to steal off of SD cards. So these aren't necessarily indicative of like the best photos ever of the project. I'm just saying these are like these are just photos that I'm using. If they don't exactly follow the rules that I'm applying here, then just go with it. The first thing you do, right, you import it, and then you rate your photos. For the sake of speed, I didn't rate these photos because that takes a little while, but it doesn't take too long. Give yourself the time to actually do that. And then you go through, right, rate every single photo. And then those ones that are the keepers, right, you flag them. So there was one thing that we did right before the flagging, specifically for the composition project, which was, remember, we inserted those keywords. And the keywords are available on the right-hand side, and just right here on the right, here's keywords, just below the quick develop. And have opened these two, both of them, the keywording, and then also the keyword list. The keywording is where you insert the keyword and some suggestions in case you want to insert one. And then the keyword list, right below that, Lightroom keeps track of every time you used a keyword, so then you can just look at it based on the keyword. It's kind of like another way to filter your photos, so you can see just those ones that have that keyword applied to them. So let's go to one of those. The way you do that is over here in the keyword list. When you hover over one of them, there's a little white arrow. See the white arrow? So let's say we want to see the 4 for asymmetrical balance, so you just click over here on the right, and it will just pull up these 4 having to do with asymmetrical balance, right? So there's one, pretty good use of asymmetrical balance. All right, there's another one. That one's more symmetry, but we'll go with it. The 2 that we're going to use for this project, we flagged, right? And the keyboard shortcut to flag is the letter P on the keyboard. If you accidentally flagged one and you didn't mean to, then hit U to unflag, and then the flag will be removed. So now we have these 2 from this category. And then here's the second category, background distractions. All right, we want to eliminate some background distractions. Sure. Right? Remember, like I said, these are just photos that I happen to find off of someone's SD card. They aren't necessarily like the best photos. I'm just saying these are photos that I happen to take from someone. Right, again, 2 photos that are flagged. This one, here's cropping, so I picked, here's one up close. Here's the other filling the frame with something up close. Depth, right? This one's a little dark. Maybe we can tone it up in the Develop tab. Just for the sake of what we're doing here, we're not going to worry about it. But all of those edits that you can do are up in the Develop tab. And then that gives you exposure and contrast and all the other ones. Great. So here are the 2 for depth. And then I've got 2 flagged for experimentation, 2 flagged for framing, 2 flagged for leading lines, 2 flagged for rule of thirds, right? We've got 10 categories. There's a couple great examples of symmetry. So 10 categories. If you have 2 flags in each category, 2 times 10, theoretically we will have 20 photos that are flagged. So let's, in the bottom right corner, go to the filters, right? And then we'll go to just what's flagged. And now I'm seeing 20 photos, right? So now we're ready to get these out of Lightroom. You could do some editing. Just for the sake of time, all we're talking about here is exporting, so we're not going to worry about the editing. My favorite keyboard shortcut, hopefully you guys remember this, is Command-A, or on a PC if you're working at home, it's Control-A to select all. So all of these in the whole film strip are selected. Now, in the bottom left corner, there's a button that says Export. If you don't see that bottom button that says Export, you might be in the Develop tab. Okay, so make sure you're not in the Develop tab. You should be in the Library tab. Then you hit Export. And because we hit Command-A, it says Export 20 files. If it only says export one file, then you forgot my favorite keyboard shortcut, which is Command A. You guys remember this? Awesome. Next is the export location, right? Really all we have to worry about, don't even worry about these bottom ones. The only ones that you need to worry about are the top two. The export location, where you're going to save them to, and then the file naming. What are you going to call them, right? Each file should have a unique name, but they should all match sort of a pattern. So the first thing, the export location, let's choose that folder, right? I have this set to my composition folder, and I even have it into a finals folder. Okay, great. If you don't have a finals folder, maybe you just want to put that in your composition project, and then it says, okay, we'll put it in a subfolder. What do you want to call that subfolder? Think of a subfolder as like a nice, neat little package that you could put all 20 files in, so they're not just like thrown into that place wherever it's at, and it's a mess, it's mixed with other stuff. Subfolder, they're all in one nice, neat little package together, right? So here's the subfolder, looks good. Yeah, let's check that, so it adds the subfolder. Don't worry about these ones. Do we want to throw them back into the catalog so we mix the raw photos with the exported files? No, that's a bad idea, so we're not going to do that. And there are no existing files in that subfolder, so we don't need to worry about this one either. Awesome. Leave that. Looks good. Next thing is the file naming. What do we want to call each of these files? That's the beauty of automation, right? The beauty of working in Lightroom is we can work on a multitude of photos. We can work on hundreds of photos all at the same time, and then once we're done with them, we can batch export them out of Lightroom so that they all can get, you know, worked on in the same way. You make some edits. Essentially, we're taking those raw files, we're taking the changes we made to the raw files, and then we're combining them together, right? Making this brand new baby file. So let's give each of those files a name. We've given them a place, but now let's give them a name. If it's not checked, you have to check this, right? Sometimes it's just not checked, so you click check. And then usually what we do is this one, custom name and sequence. Custom name is whatever we type in here. Sequencing just means counting, right? 1, 2, 3, all the way up to 20 in this case. So custom text, boom, there it is. I just, for our class, I like putting what class period you're in. Put your name, not my name, put your name. And then composition to tell us, yeah, we're exporting for the composition project. Okay? Now, remember we did those keywords, and man, wouldn't it be nice if we could just tell what keyword it was right in the file name? Well, we can. So the way to do that is go back up to this name part, and we're going to edit that slightly. We're not going to use the sequencing. We're going to take the sequencing out and insert the keywords instead. So go down to the bottom where it says Edit, and it will open up the File Name Template Editor. And here we can edit whatever this template is. So like I said, just hit Delete on the keyboard to get rid of the sequencing. And then the one that we want to use is 1, 2, 3, 4, the fifth one down in the metadata category. Usually it says title, but if we go 1, 2, 3, 4, the fourth one down says keywords. Okay, if it doesn't pop up, then you might have to hit the insert button. Most of the time you're just able to click on it and it pops up. Okay, so what are the keywords? Well, the keywords are whatever you typed in over on the right, in the keyword box. So look at the example, right? This one, the very first one that's going to be exported is that naming convention that we typed in, and then framing. Well, why framing? Because that's what we applied in this on this photo. Cool, looks good. Let's hit done, and then just check it once, right? You want to make sure that it works really well before you export it, and then something is slightly wrong about every single file. So export 20 files. It doesn't say 1, it says all 20. That's a great place to put them. Okay, you want to put them in a subfolder? Sure, so they're all in one nice neat little package together. And then rename to, what do we want to call this, right? The custom settings, which was based on custom name and sequence, but we edited that to, instead of sequencing, include the keywords, right, that we typed in the keyword box. Yeah, the custom name looks good. It's got my name. You'll put your name, of course. I like putting the class period too, just so I don't mix them up. And then what project is this meant for? Check the example, see if it looks good. I love it. Let's hit export. depending on how many files there are, oh, it looks like it's asking me maybe to put it in a new place. Here, you know what? We'll just put it there. That's fine. Hit open. Great. So now in the top left corner, you can see, all right, we're working on these files. Okay, awesome. So those are the 20 you put up on Canvas. So let's navigate over to where that is on our computer. I'll put that in the photo 2. Okay, I'm just going to move these slightly. They're in a little bit funny place. Composition. Awesome. Okay, now that's where they should have gone. So here they all are, right? They were in the composition project. In Composition Finals. Well, what is Composition Finals? Well, that's the subfolder that we created, right? And then, here it is. Here are all 20 of those files. These are the ones that go up on Canvas, right? Awesome. So that's the process to get them out of Lightroom. You know the way that Canvas is currently, the way to insert multiple files. Unfortunately, there's a little button that says add another file. So if there's 20 files, there are 20, you have to click, you have to have 20 little buttons that say choose file. So you have to click that button, add another file, add another file, add another file, and then drag them individually to those little blue choose file buttons. Or if you're on a PC, you might have to actually click the button. On a Mac, you can just drag them over. But on a PC, you might have to hit choose the file, choose the file, choose file, and then navigate to the files each time. It's not the most intuitive process, but that's the way Canvas is currently. So we have to roll with what we have. Anyway, I hope that helped. Some of you guys have asked about how to get things out of Lightroom. We're going to do it again, too, with the other projects in the future. It's not just, once and done, and we don't have to worry about it again. We will be using exporting and Canvas in general more than just this. So every time we start a new catalog, we're going to have to get things out of Lightroom. So very cool. Hope that helped. And if you have other questions, please let me know either in Canvas or write me directly on my direct email. Okay? All right. You guys are awesome. Thank you. See ya.